In today's lesson, you are going to practice magical realism, and then we are going to move to working to understand the second part of The Alchemist, which is a hero's journey. So, yesterday in class, we had worked to identify what we thought magical realism was and create criteria. And from there, we established a correct definition and 4 set criteria. So, let's review those now. Magical realism is a genre of fiction, fiction meaning made up or fantasy, in which elements that defy natural law or logic are incorporated in a realistic way. So if we go back to that video we watched the other day, the guy used the idea of a magic carpet as a magical realist analogy. And the 4 criteria that fit magical realism are elements that defy natural law, or as we call them, sparkle. Criteria 2, elements treated as realistic. Elements reveal human truth, and characters, setting, or other elements are believed and relatable to the real world. So they not only have realistic, understandable, concrete criteria, but all those realistic aspects are kind of amplified or embellished or given sparkle, if you will, to create a magical realism story. So last night you were asked to read Light is Like Water. So we are going to apply the 4 criteria that we created and came up with to Light is Like Water. So what I want you to do now is to pause this video, and I would like you to work with your table groups for about 10 minutes to come up with 4 criteria and examples from the story where magical realism is present. So you should have one worksheet for your table. You're going to work together. Please hand this in to the substitute when you are done. Now that you've handed in your answers, here are some examples of what you might have put down. So in an element of where it defies natural law, the whole idea of the story is that water is pouring out of the light bulbs. Okay, so he's taking a figurative language element and making it into a realistic thing. Water can't actually pour out of the lights, okay? Elements that are treated as realistic, light pours out of a light. So when you turn a light on, you could say that the light is pouring out because you've now turned on the ability to create light. You can float in a boat during a flood, so that makes it somewhat realistic, but not on an everyday basis where you could just turn on a light and fill your house with water. That's not realistic. Elements that reveal human truth. Children are rewarded for doing well in school or behaving a certain way. So the boys got a boat, or they got to have a party, or they got to have certain things because of the way they behaved well, or they did well in school, which that is a human truth. And finally, element 4, characters, setting, or other elements are believable and relatable to the real world. A lot of what we already said. You could potentially float in a boat in your house during a flood or a natural disaster. Children are generally rewarded for good behaviors, and turning a light switch on would allow light to pour into a room. What I'd like you to do now is we're going to move towards understanding magical realism to now understanding the other aspect of The Alchemist, which is a hero's journey. So before I explain to you what a hero's journey is, I want to give you some scenarios. So if you don't already have your notebooks, pause the video, grab your notebook, and open to a clean page. What I'm going to do is give you 4 scenarios. I want you to have your mind clear, open, optimistic. Don't think about anything. I'm going to give you these scenarios, and I will give you about 45 seconds to write anything and everything down that you can. Don't think too much about it. Just write down what comes to mind, and then wait for the 45 seconds to be up, and I'll give you the next scenario. Try to be as detailed as possible as you can in your short answers. Because you only have 45 seconds, I understand that might be a little bit hard, but again, try to be as detailed as possible. And secondly, you're meant to have fun. So have fun with it, be kind of kooky, crazy, and that's all good. So scenario 1 is you're standing on a hill looking over a valley. Describe what you see. All right, next scenario. You now move into the valley and come upon a road. Describe the road. Scenario 3. You travel the road and are now joined by an animal. Identify the animal, identify the animal and then describe the animal in relation to you. Okay, final scenario. You come to an obstacle on your journey. Describe what the obstacle is and explain how you pass it. Okay, time's up. Close your notebook. Here is what all of the scenarios mean. So, the importance of this into our story is that a hero is going on a journey, and how you view the world around you explains how you interact and deal with certain situations. So, how you answered number one, so you're on a journey, you're looking over a valley, how you described that valley describes your outlook on life. If you described it in a flourishing way, had a lot of plants in happy colors, warm colors, you are more of an optimist. You view life positively. Um, on the opposite, if you viewed it very dark, scary, dead, tumultuous, you view life in a pessimistic way. Second scenario, your description of the road that you come upon reveals how you see life's journey. Is it bumpy and hard? Is it smooth and easy? So on and so forth. Third, the animal that you described is how you associate characteristics symbolize your ideal mate. So, where it is in relation to how you view relationships, meaning friendships, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, those kind of relationships. So, if you view the animal as your friend, that they were helping you along this journey, just like your outlook on life, you have a positive view on relationships. If you viewed the animal as an obstacle, that it was hurting you or detrimenting any way on your journey, you view relationships right now in a negative way. And finally, the obstacle that you created for yourself is how you view obstacles in life. So, how do you overcome when something hard happens in life? That's how you answered question number 4. So, the final part of today's lesson is understanding a hero's journey. So, our novel is going to take us on a journey. So, what I want you to do is pause this video and go to the next one.